So how do you contribute to an existing software project or a project which is hosted on GitLab? What you need is essentially you can contribute to someone else's project. This can be an open source project or a research project you're involved in, but you're not the owner of the project. So it can be done even without write access to the project. Now typically, if you're in a research project, you typically will have write access to that particular repository, but of course not necessarily if it's an open source project or a research project you're only loosely affiliated with. So in that case, if you don't have write access, how can you contribute? Well, basically you can create your own copy of the repository, not by cloning but by forking. So basically a fork is a copy of the repository on GitLab itself. So basically you make a remote copy if you want. And then of course you can clone your own repository. You can create a branch for the implementation. You can implement and test. And then you can create a pull request for your branch against the original repository. Then it's up to the person who owns the repository to respond to that pull request. So to do this, your repository should really be hosted by a service, GitHub or GitLab or whatever. Otherwise this won't work. So pull requests, many repositories have a contributing.md. It's good policy to have that. Basically you state what you actually expect from someone who is contributing to your project. So if there is a contributing.md, then you should abide by its rules and its recommendations, because otherwise your pull request might just be rejected on principle. So a good pull request will have a very informative subject. What are you trying to achieve with your pull request? There should be a motivation for change. So it's good to spend some time on this, because if it's not clear why you are suggesting a change, then someone is not going to be very motivated to accept your pull request. And you should have as many atomic commits as possible, or commits that are as atomic as possible, and with informative messages, so that people can actually very easily verify what you changed and why you changed it. And typically that would be based on the development branch, not the master branch. So typically the master branch is stable. If you send me a pull request based on master, I'm not going to be very inclined to even look at it. So that's why there is a development branch, especially for that purpose. Okay, so if you receive a contribution, someone forked your repository to contribute, that's nice. Then you receive a pull request. So basically you should evaluate the contribution. You should do a code review and you should do extensive tests. And if it's okay, then you can merge the remote branch into typically development or even master directly, but that's up to you. Typically I work with a master and a development branch. And if it's not okay, then you should provide feedback and potentially delete the pull request so that it can be reissued in a better way, in a way which you feel more comfortable with. You retain complete control over contributions, so you as the owner of the repository are the one who is going to do the merge. So no one can modify your repository just by doing a pull request. Accepting the pull request is up to you. So let's suppose we want to add a feature to the project and we want to do that the proper way. So we will first create a branch. In this case I only have a master branch, so I'll actually base the new branch on that. I'll implement the feature, I'll push the branch to GitLab, and we'll create a pull request in GitLab. So basically I could branch and so on by hand, but there is the git flow button, because this is a very common workflow. It's called git flow and it's implemented by SmartGit automatically. So basically you have two types, the lightweight or the full, and in this case it's enough because we only want a small feature to use the light version. So the branch we're basing this on is master, and the name is feature followed by something. So I want to add a header file. So I just name my branch feature header, and the remote is origin, so that's fine. So we do OK. So notice that no branch has been created yet. So again, we press the git flow button, and then you see that we get our first feature branch. As soon as we click start, we will get that. So basically, the feature name here is not really important. It's about the header file. So essentially, we can just leave that out. And no, it doesn't accept that. So essentially, we can pick any name which we want. So for instance, init, the initial version. Okay, so we start, and now you see that a new feature branch has been created with the name init. Okay, so it has also automatically been checked out, and we can now edit our files and create, in this particular case, we will create a new file. So I'm going to add a new file. And that would be greeting.h. Okay, yes, I'm sure I want to do that. And then basically what we want is to edit those in Notepad, and I want to copy these two headers into the include file, and of course I should clean up a bit to make that valid and proper C. And in fact I ought to add an include guard and so on, but I'm not going there. You see what is happening. So I save the file, I quit the editor, and as you can see there is an untracked file right now, so I should actually stage that. Okay, we get some warning about the line endings, doesn't matter, and now we can commit. We should first have committed, not pushed, but okay. So add header file. Okay, we'll commit and push immediately. Okay, so now we can switch to the GitLab website. And then you see that, of course, the greeting.h file isn't there at the moment. But there is, of course, there are other branches, and now we can switch to the new branch, which should also be here. And as you can see, feature header file init is here. And there you see that there is a greetings.h. Okay, and now we can do a pull request. We can actually create a pull request for this particular change which we made. See, create merge request. So we give that a title. The title is okay. We give that a description. So header file comes in handy, whatever. And then you can assign it to someone. So assign to me seems like a good idea, since I'm the only contributed to this particular repository, and you can assign labels, for instance an improvement or a feature or a bug fix or whatever. You can create any labels which you like, so basically that's something to address with your team. Okay, so the approvers would be me in this case, but you can add several referees if you want. So now I can submit the merge request. On GitHub that's called the pull request, and so basically as you can see, now I can do a review. I can approve this, or I can add some comments. I'm just going to merge in this case, and notice the default is that the source branch will be deleted automatically, and typically that is fine because the information which is now in the feature branch will be merged into the master branch. And notice there is a green tick mark here, so this is going to succeed. If a merge would result in merge conflicts, then basically you cannot do this, and you have to first ensure that there are no merge conflicts. So I'll just merge. And if we look at the code now, then we would see that indeed the greeting.h file is now in the master branch, and you can see it here. So now we can clean up the local repository. First we pull, because the merge into master has been done on the GitLab repository, not the local one. So we first do a pull. And then we did that on the branch which is now deleted. So let's first check out the master branch. And now we can pull the changes from the master branch. Okay. So the pull succeeded, and now we can actually remove this branch because we no longer need it, and all the information it contains is already in the master branch. And now we have a clean repository.